Mike here from South and Normal Reviews, coming at you today to give you my top comedies that I love. And these are movies that I can watch all the time and die and laugh. So they're in no particular order. This isn't a ranking of this one's better than this one. These are just 15 movies, or so like you're gonna get a little mad at me because it's more than 15 because I talk about a series of movies. Just because I got a little greedy and I didn't want to call out individual ones within the series. But anyhow, here they are, top 15 top 15 comedies that I recommend everyone watch because they make me die in hysterics. Again, no particular order. First one up, PCU, came out in 1994. This movie follows a high school senior visiting a college in Portchester University. This movie is also referred to as politically correct university. He goes there for a weekend and has to stay in the abysmal party animal house with Draws, played by Jeremy Piven, known as The Pit. That's the name of the house, The Pit. There's no rules here. Anything goes. You get to be whatever you want to be. Just have fun, have a good time. That type of situation where the rest of the campus is stuffy and mad. It's like the 90s Animal House. It was an attempt to be, it didn't do well at the box office. It wasn't the greatest movie, cinematically speaking, but it makes me laugh so much. And it was kind of ahead of its time because it kind of predicted where we are today with how politically correct campuses are and how it's just what happens in this movie was kind of like, it was funny at the time, but then you look at it like, that's today times. What the hell? But it's just, it stars some big hitters, like I said. Jeremy Piven's in it, Jon Favreau's in it, David Spade's in it. Like, it wasn't, at the time, they were a bunch of nobodies, but now you're like they're household names. Not to mention, you get a nice concept from Parliament Funkadelic. But it follows college shenanigans in the 90s during the grunge period a little bit. And it's such a funny movie. It's such a good movie. Like, I didn't watch it in theaters. I was only 94. I was 8. Yeah, 7 going on 8 when this would have came out. So I didn't see this one in theaters. I did see a couple other ones on this list that came around the same time in theaters. But it was just coming up on 30 years old. It's like the parallels from then to now. Either we haven't changed as much as we think we have, or it was just like they predicted this is where we're going. Look at how you want. But PCU, check that out wherever it's streaming or download. Available. I know you can buy it on DVD, Blu-ray. Quality film, check it out. Quality comedy, not quality film. Hilarious. The next one I want to talk about, Grandma's Boy. Now, this one came out in the early 2000s. That was I remember it would be one of the first movies I put together at the movie theater. When I was right around the time of being a projectionist, I think 2005, 2006 range. Before that, I was just slinging popcorn, ripping tickets type person. But it stars all of Adam Sandler's cronies from every other movie he does. Sans, Rob Schneider. Although Rob Schneider, I'm surprised he wasn't in this. But basically, it follows a video game developer, tester in his mid-30s, whose roommates decided to get some escort hookers and have a good time instead of pay the rent. So he gets kicked out of his apartment. And now he has to go live with a friend. Oh, wait. His mom turns him on, and there's an uncomfortable situation in the bathroom. Can't live there now. So now he's moved in with his grandmother, played by Doris Roberts. Everybody Loves Raymond, the mother from that. And it's a stoner comedy at its simplest. It's got a lot of toilet humor, a lot of crude humor, a lot of stoner humor, but at the same time, there's this lightheartedness behind it that just makes it work. And I remember buckling over, laughing in the movie theater. This is when I first saw this. And to this day, I watch it and still laugh out loud at this movie. So check out Grandma's Boy. It's on DVD. I don't know where it's streaming, but you can definitely find it somewhere. Grandma's Boy, check it out. Oh, the next one I want to talk about is one I didn't expect to be a comedy. I remember the previews coming out, and I remember putting it together and just being like, I have no idea what this movie's about. What the hell? And then after work, my shift ended. The movie with the previews were just ending. So I was like, I'm going to sit in and just check this out. It's Burn After Reading. And oh my Lord, did I laugh in this movie. And you're supposed to. It's like a satire on what spy movies are. The Coen brothers film, and it's just so like off the wall funny, and it's just like you wouldn't. The title doesn't say like suggest that. I mean, it started Brad Pitt, George Clooney, Tilda Swinton, J.K. Simmons, John Malkovich, a bunch of others, and basically like a spy. How do I word this? I'm trying to figure out the best way to portray what it's about. It's like a CIA agent, an X1 has something stolen from him that people think they can blackmail him with, and then they try to do all this surveillance and follow him. It turns out it's really nothing they got, but they just make this whole big espionage storyline behind it, and hilarity just ensues with the interactions. I mean, at one point you see George Clooney hooking a dildo up to an exercise machine for a surprise anniversary present for his wife. It's just the turns that this took were just unexpected, and just the performances and the commitment by all the actors involved just put it over the top, and it's just so funny. I highly recommend Burn After Reading. It came out around 2008. Stream it on the Peacock, I know that one, or by the physical media, which I prefer. That's just me. Burn After Reading. Going back to the 1994 time frame, I remember seeing this one in theaters with my dad. I remember sitting next to him, and when the hint of nudity came on, he put his hand over my face, thinking that it was going to prevent me from seeing it. But Dumb and Dumber came out in 94. Jim Carrey, Jeff Daniels, pick there, the Farrelly brothers, who are known for more stinkers than hits, if you will. But Dumb and Dumber was kind of their first foray into prominence, I believe. I remember sitting in the theater eating popcorn, watching this with my dad, my sister, and her friend or something. Shouldn't have been there. Definitely shouldn't have been there, folks. But you got two nitwits, essentially, fish out of waters, innocents, who both are getting fired from their jobs on the same day. Lloyd, Jim Carrey, Harry, Jeff Daniels. And Lloyd falls in love with this woman who leaves her briefcase in the airport intentionally. It was a payoff. So he runs in and gets it. And now he needs to drive to Aspen, Colorado, where the salmon flock like Capistrano or something. But I can't remember the exact line. But so that takes place. It's an adventure for him and Jeff Daniels in the van outfitted to be a sheepdog. And like to this day, this movie makes me die laughing because of like just the performances and the jokes in it. And you wouldn't expect, based on what it's about, to be as funny as it is, but it was just Jim Carrey at the height of like prominence when he was like on fire with everything he was doing, and it just comes through, and it's just such a funny movie. Dumb and Dumber. It's got to be streaming somewhere. If not, you can definitely buy it. Amazon Prime Video, you can probably rent it at least. Check it out, Dumb and Dumber. I'm sure everyone has seen it, but it's one of my favorite comedies. All right, next, Dirty Work, starring Norm Macdonald. This one, nobody's probably heard of. It's one of those under the radar type comedies. And with Norm passing this year, it kind of like made me desire to watch this because of how good it is. It's so dumb, this movie, the premise is, but it's so funny. Like the whole premise of Dirty Work is Norm Macdonald is this loser character who's getting kicked out of his girlfriend's house in the beginning. His best friend, Artie Lang, lets him move in with him and his pop. And his pop's just this creepy, dirty bastard. And they start a revenge for hire business. So if someone's wronged you can call Norm and Artie, and they will get the person back for you for a price. And the jokes in this are subtle. The Norm's comedy shines through. And if you've never seen Norm Macdonald stand up, I highly suggest you watch it, because it's not typical like set up punchline, like you know what's coming. Some stuff comes out of left field, some stuff takes a long time to build, and then the payoff's amazing. But it's just, you will just watch this movie over and over again and die laughing. It came out in 98. Dirty Work is just, it's well worth your time. It's underrated in my opinion. Stars the late Chris Farley, Norm Macdonald in it as well. It's just, this movie is worth your time. Check out Dirty. Number number 6, the 6th one I'm talking about. It's not number 6 in like the rankings, but it's Step Brothers. Oh, Step Brothers is so Step Brothers is just unexpectedly hilarious to me. It was like after Talladega Nights, everyone knew John C. Reilly and Will Ferrell were good together, but this one, like, this outdoes Talladega Nights for me. Like, Talladega Nights is hilarious, but this one is just that much better. I can watch this one more than I can watch Talladega Nights, because Talladega Nights, like, the jokes lose their punch, their zing for me after a little while. And then you watch it again, you know what's coming, so whatever. It's still funny, but it's not like Step Brothers where I die watching it every time. The premise of Step Brothers is you have two middle-aged guys living with their parents who are widowers who then marry each other, and they either have to survive or die in this situation, and they become unlikely friends. And then, oh, it's so, Ferrell and Reilly in this are just perfect. Their portrayals of their characters and within the story are just perfect. This movie is so funny. Check it out. It's got to be streaming somewhere. If not, buy this movie and you'll watch it time and time again. Next on this list, Tommy Boy. Again, not unheard of, but just hilarious. Chris Farley is just, he's unmatched in his comedy and what he brought to the world. Like him and David Spade in this little like buddy comedy of sorts are just, like they play off each other so well. And Tommy Boy follows the story. It's like his dad's an auto parts tycoon and his son's just kind of a freeloader who's been coasting on his dad's goodwill and fortune until his dad has a heart attack. Now he's kind of run the company. He's got to save the company. And it's up to him using David Spade, who's been his dad's right-hand man, to do so. And it's just fish out of water. Chris Farley over the top antics. It's just so funny every time you watch it. You get something new out of it. Even the old stuff makes you die laughing, which if I go back is what Talladega Nights was missing. Like, yes, it's funny. Yes, you're going to laugh, but all the big laugh out loud moments are just kind of gone now. Whereas with everything I'm talking about in this, all the laugh out loud moments remain for me. Tommy Boy is streaming on Paramount Plus, I believe, or you always find it on Prime Video. But check out Tommy Boy if you've never seen it. Well worth it. Came out in '95. I didn't see it in theaters, but I did rent it a lot as a kid, aging myself with the word rent there. But check out Tommy Boy. This one feels unexpected for me to be on this list, just based on what I've talked about so far. But 10 Things I Hate About You. I love this movie. It makes me laugh all the time. I can watch it anytime. It's so good. I mean, started young, late Heath Ledger, Jennifer Stiles, I believe her name. Stars a young, late Heath Ledger, Julia Stiles, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and the main ones, Gabrielle Union's in it. The underrated Larry Miller. Anything Larry Miller in, you're going to get a laugh out of him. That guy is a gem. Allison Janney's in it. But it basically follows, you got the pretty girl who can't date because her dad made the rule that you can only date when your sister dates. So in order to get a date, Joseph Gordon-Levitt hires Heath Ledger's character to date Julia Stiles' sister in order for him to date her. It follows the Shakespeare play Taming of the Shrew. It's loosely based on that. I can't say it's 100% based on that, but it's just this time period. I was in high school when this came out in '99. I was going to high school. So it hit home. It was like what I anticipate life being like in high school. And it's to me, like, even back then I laughed. Now I laugh more. Such a good movie. 10 Things I Hate About You, streaming somewhere. Buy it on DVD. Check it out. Well worth your time. Another movie that next on the list is another movie where you're like, Mike, I've heard of this one. Why the hell is it on your list? But Happy Gilmore. It was a hard choice between this and Billy Madison because they're kind of similar humor, but Happy Gilmore is a little better overall and makes me laugh a little more than Billy Madison. But the storyline follows Adam Sandler's character of Happy Gilmore, who is a wannabe hockey star who's most famous for his hard slap shot and taking his skate off and trying to stab somebody with it. But his grandmother is losing her house. So it's up to him to save grandma's house, save the family's legacy, Only way he can do it is by winning a golf tournament. And unexpectedly, he's amazing at golf, except for putting. So it becomes down to this war between him and Shooter McGavin. And it's just, this movie's just great every time I watch it. It's so funny. I highly recommend it. If you've never seen it, if you've heard of it, I'm sure you either agree with me or vehemently want to punch me in the face right now. But Happy Gilmore, streaming on Netflix. Check it out. Next on my list, Team America World Police. This actually, going back when I think about it, I remember watching it in like putting it together and watching it after hours in theaters. I feel like there was underage drinking involved with this one because I remember beers being there, and I wasn't 21, but I remember them being there. Not condemning it, not condoning it, but that's just what I remember. But I also remember buckling over laughing at this movie when we watched it. And then every time since then, I remember watching it and dying laughing at this movie. It's so ridiculously funny. Trey Parker and Matt Stone, South Park. It's just such a satirical take on where the world was at the time. You can't, I don't even know how to describe whether it be because they use marionettes instead of actors or what, but it was just absurd because it's this anti-terrorism group, and like part of their plan was to hire a renowned actor to join the team and infiltrate the Taliban, and then Kim Jong-il or which one of them is involved. Kim Jong-il was he was in power at the time, so it was a lot of dealing with him too. And the sanctions and the UN. It was just the satire they played out in this is like what we live every day, reading the news. It's like what's on your brain. Like this is just all utter nonsense. You're not doing anything. You're just puffing your chest out in the media type deal. Let's cut the shit and get down to the nitty gritty and really examine what you're doing here in a funny way. And I die laughing every time I watch this movie. I highly recommend Team America. You can watch it somewhere, probably with Prime Video. Most likely it's the best choice for this one. But Team America World Police, I highly recommend. The next one was one I didn't see in theaters for only reason being was it wasn't advertised for me to see, and I probably couldn't get my parents to take me to see it if I tried. But it's Friday. Friday, starring Chris Tucker and Ice Cube, John Witherspoon, the late John Witherspoon, Faison Love's in it. But this movie is so funny. Like to this day, I quote this movie. Everything, like I can watch it all the time. Craig and Smokey, I need to come up with $200 to pay off Big Worm or Big Perm. Debo's out to get him for money, relationship problems. Friday, it's just one of the funniest movies ever. And just the chemistry between the actors in it make it great. Chris Tucker is hilarious in it. Before Rush Hour, where he got too big of a head. And but it's just a movie you like watch and you quote with people who know the movie, and you just can laugh without seeing the movie in front of you. It's so good, so funny. Friday is definitely worth the watch. Even its sequel, and then I don't know about Friday After Next, but the third Friday was terrible. Don't watch that one involving Christmas. But I think it's streaming on HBO. Check it out there. But Friday, starring Ice Cube and Chris Tucker mainly, well worth the watch. You're going to die laughing every time. Well, in the vein of Friday, the next movie we're going to talk about is Don't Be a Menace to South Central While Drinking Juice in the Hood. I don't know if this is the first Wayans parody movie, but it's probably the best. The Wayans were growing to prominence at this time within Living Color, which in my opinion was superior to SNL during the time it was out, because they had the Wayans, they had Jamie Foxx, Jim Carrey. It was just, they kind of didn't pull punches the way SNL kind of holds back and is more regulated, more reserved. But it parodies, this is like a parody movie. Like think of Scary Movie, think of all the stuff that Wayans has done over the time, which is, there's so much and it's just become so watered down. But this was like the first and it was just so funny. This one parodies Boys in the Hood, South Central, Menace to Society, Higher Learning, and Juice come to mind. But it's just so over the top ridiculous with the satire, with the parodying of it, and the little jabs here and there, the actual things it comes from, like parodies. And it was before scary movie, before it was popularized to do this. So they weren't trying as hard to be a watered down version of the parody for everyone to like. They made their movie for what they thought was funny, and it worked. It plays on the stereotypes that society knows, and builds the portrayal and tears them down to show you like the comedic side of all the absurdity of that stereotype. And it was really before the Sean and Marlon Wayans blew up. They were blowing up. They hadn't fully blown up, so you weren't sick of them yet, which helped make this hilarious. But don't be a menace to South Central while drinking your juice in the hood. It's streaming, I believe it's only on Amazon or on DVD. Check it out. You will not be disappointed. The next movie, which I find hilarious all the time, anytime I watch it, is the movie Life, starring Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence. Bernie Mac's in it as well, and came out in 1999. It follows two gangsters strangers in 1932. One's a grifter, one's just like a salesman trying to live an honest life. They get wrongfully convicted of a murder and get sent to this southern prison where it's like chain gang, essentially like a plantation life prison, where it ain't what you see prisons today, where it's like the big concrete buildings and bars on the window type deal. It was like, I don't know how to describe what it was like. I'm going to stop saying that. But it follows these guys who literally have to spend their life in prison, even though they were wrongfully convicted. They have several chances to get out, but then something happens where they get put back in. And then the new warden, or I think it was a new warden, or someone new to the prison, comes in and has this watch that Eddie Murphy's character had with him because it was his dad's watch. And he's the true murderer. He's the one who got off the conviction that Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence were convicted of. So then that's like the final chance they have to get out, is the warden or whoever, governor at the time, was like, I'm going to work on this. I understand. But then he dies. So they're stuck there for another, God knows how long it was after that timeline in the story. So then they hatch a plan where they burn down the retirement home, I think it's called, because that's where all the older prisoners are kept. But they get out and go to the Yankees game, and they're finally free after a lifetime together behind the walls of this prison. But the jokes, it has a very serious side, but the comedy in it is so good. Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence are hilarious. Bernie Mac's hilarious. And them together in this just magnifies the hilarity that ensues. I strongly recommend checking out Life. It's on Amazon Prime for sure, but you won't go wrong watching Life. All right. Next up is the first kind of cheat movie I'm going to give myself, and that's both Deadpools. I'm combining them because they're both hilarious. I can watch them both and die laughing, but they're essentially the same movie twice, if you think about it. Where it's Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool is the perfect match. It's his humor to a T. And I've watched pretty much every Ryan Reynolds movie, and he's the same in every single one, but it never felt as genuine, as good as it does in Deadpool. He's a wisecracking mercenary out to avenge, and he's immortal. And it's just, if you haven't seen Deadpool, I highly recommend you see it. Even though it is a Marvel movie, even though it is a comic book movie, so there is that kind of negative connotation because of that. But just this Deadpool 1 and 2 are just so hilarious because of how it's just a different take on the superhero films. He knows what's going on. It's not like they're pretending to not know they're super and they're not knowing there's a real world out there. He breaks the fourth wall. It's so funny, and it makes me laugh every time I watch it. And it's rated R, which I think we're going to lose if Disney ever makes a Deadpool movie. I don't think they'll give the leeway that Fox gave to let it be rated R, to let it be what it needs to be with Deadpool as he is in the comics, the dark, twisted sense of humor. There's rumors in Doc Strange Multiverse of Madness coming out, the rumors, but I just think we got our 2 Deadpool films and they're going to be watered down from here on out if they make them at all. But hilarious. Check out Deadpool, streaming on Hulu now, because whatever is rated R, Disney won't put on Disney Plus because they also own Hulu. They'll put it over there. Check it out. Deadpool 1 and 2, it's worth the watch, especially if you're a comic book shill, a movie shill like I am. But if you're just a fan of funny, hilarious movies, Deadpool is up your alley. The next little pairing of movies involves the Askewniverse, Kevin Smith films. I could watch his movies day in, day out and just laugh my ass off. Clerks, Mallrats, Dogma, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, even though it's a terrible movie. Mallrats, Chasing Amy, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. I attempted to use the monologue Ben Affleck uses in Chasing Amy on a girl in high school and got met with a, "Thank you, that was very nice," and she walked away. Kevin Smith writing, I just love it. I love his dialogue. I love his jokes. I love his humor. They're not for everyone. These movies are surely not for everyone. But I couldn't recommend his movies more. Anything he writes, I will die laughing. Even Jersey Girl, which is panned as terrible, I still love that movie. It's not as funny as the other movies, but it's still a good movie to me. Yes, he has his faults. Yes, Kevin Smith isn't the greatest filmmaker ever, but goddamn, he's been doing it for 30 plus years, and he's got a fan. His movies do well. They don't bomb out like all the time, but all those movies are streaming somewhere. Check them out. I highly recommend Chasing Amy. That is my favorite Kevin Smith film. Chasing Amy is followed by Mallrats, which is a mess of a movie, but it's hilarious. And then the Clerks series would be the next one if I had to rank them. But anything from the Askewniverse, Kevin Smith, check out. You will not be disappointed. All right, that concludes today's episode of my favorite comedies of all time. I know I don't have much going past the early 90s. 80s comedies are all about the same to me. Yes, Animal House is funny. It is hilarious. But Porky's is so similar. I didn't put any National Lampoon movies on here, really. I do not find Christmas Vacation to be the #1 hilarious movie that everyone makes it out to be. The National Lampoon Vacation movies are funny, but they're not my favorite. I'm trying to think of other things like the Monty Python movies. Yes, they're funny, they're quotable, and you can watch them a lot, but they're not my favorite. This is my list. So agree with me or not, leave me a comment. Let me know what you think I left out. I'll hit you back and let you know if I agree with you or why I feel it's not deserving of my list, because my list is the end all be all. No, this is just what I feel, what I can watch when I'm feeling down and need a good laugh. These movies are something I can turn to no matter what. So let me know what your favorite comedies are in the comments below. Subscribe, follow along, hit that notification button for more great content drops. I'm Michael Soren here from Movie Reviews by South of Normal. This has been my list of comedies that I love. Peace. You guys rock.